Hi and welcome to my new video. I'm so excited about this one because this is the very first time in my life that I have a separate office area in my home. I recently moved from Frankfurt to Munich, and in my previous apartment the office area looked like this. You can see a closer room tour here, by the way. Basically, my workspace was in the living room, since the space was pretty narrow and long, so it felt kind of natural for me to place it near the window, since I wanted to have both a more or less separate area and the view. That view indeed was breathtaking. But despite the view, it still wasn't a separate room, right? When I first saw this apartment, I was super happy about an additional room. Even though it's pretty small, it still fits all my needs, such as a stylish background for my videos, camera setup, and all the tripods. So without any further ado, let's jump right into the room tour. This is how I film my workshops, masterclasses, and courses. By the way, if you want to learn how to draw, use Procreate, and design in it, make sure to check out my brand new open drawing workshop. I'm gonna leave the link somewhere here or down below. The quality the setup gives me is simply impeccable and really interesting to watch for the viewer. And this is how the process looks from the side. You're probably wondering why my desk sits in the middle of the room and not somewhere near the wall, for example. Well, I have my reasons. First, I wanted to have the light source in front of my table so that this area is well lit. Second is that I have so many cameras and lamps so that I needed an additional space for all my gear. And the third reason is that I simply wanted to have a stylish background for all my webinars and courses. And to be honest, I'd been dreaming of having such a wall for so many years, but I simply didn't have an opportunity to have it. So I either didn't have a separate area in my apartment, but you already know that, or the apartment was so small so that such a black wall wouldn't be appropriate for that kind of apartment. Because when we think about having a black wall in our apartment, of course, the first thought is that it's gonna narrow the space. But it wasn't the case for this wall, because in my opinion, it added depth to this room, and I really like how it turned out. Let's move on to the art hanging on the wall. My mom said that my apartment looks like a gallery with all its art on the walls. In my office alone, I have 5 canvases. This one is a signed art by British illustrator Jason Brooks. The French Riviera is one of my favorite places on earth, and I wanted to have a piece of it in my office. When I look at the artwork during work, I immediately feel the sea breeze. Besides, I simply like the drawing technique. On the opposite wall, we have Henri Matisse. I'm such a fan of abstract and contrasting colors and strokes. They definitely inspire me in my own work. These 3 canvases are now sitting on the floor since I moved my little cabinet to the other side. Originally, they were leaning against the other wall. The empty canvas gives me space for imagination. And finally, Brigitte Bardot, captured by Terry O'Neill. She is part of the French Riviera charm, and I simply like looking at her. Also, this artwork suits the overall color scheme of the office perfectly, in my opinion. Let's move on to the bookshelf. Here you'll find some of my most read books on productivity, business, and motivation. And speaking about the books, this is my dream wall, which I've been dreaming about for decades, like literally. Even as a teenager, I wanted to paint one of my walls black, but my dad wouldn't allow me to do that. But now, as an adult, I can make my own decisions, and this was one of them. This artwork, illustrating Andy Warhol, I bought in New York in the Museum of Modern Art. The quote, "The world fascinates me," is directly applicable to my own life. I really like to keep these tiny manifestations visible. And here's another one, by the way. Each of these books is incredibly insightful and interesting for my work as a designer and illustrator. And let's take a look at the wall more closely, I'd say. The only thing about this wall which I'm not really sure about is whether it would be possible to make it white again if I have to move out, for example. If some of you have or had a black wall, were you be able to paint it white again without the black being visible? Definitely let me know in the comments. The wall on the right is empty at the moment, because I also haven't figured out yet what to do with it. Here on the screen you're seeing a couple of ideas from Pinterest. The thing is that I already have so much art and books in this space, so I don't want to over-clutter it. We'll see. And that's it for today's short room tour. It's not finished yet, but I still wanted to show it to you. Thanks so much for watching and see you in the next video. Bye bye.